Today we're looking at DeadEye VR's Enforcer Revolt gunstocks, both the Lite and the Haptic version. I'll be comparing them to each other and to ProTube's offerings to see which gives you the most bang for your buck. The Enforcer Revolt Lite starts at $99.95 for just the stock, or $114.95 with the sling, which I'd highly recommend. The Enforcer Revolt Haptic jumps up to $199.95 base price, or $214.95 with the sling. However, if you start with the Lite version, you can upgrade later with our haptic conversion kit for $134.95. Both work with the Quest 2, 3, or Pro controllers, and you can choose right or left-handed when ordering. Instead of controller cups, DeadEye uses half-cup molds that your controllers rest against. I can see why some people might like this. It makes utility actions like reloading and grabbing items easier. I wasn't really a fan of this design at first because I felt like it took more getting used to and longer to build muscle memory to get the controllers in just right, while essentially being blind in the headset. Assembly was pretty straightforward though. I could figure it out just from the included card, which is pretty rare these days. Once the screws are in, they're definitely not going anywhere. Both stocks strike a good balance between being light but having enough heft to feel substantial. The haptic version's naturally a bit heavier due to the haptic module, but both are lighter than ProTube's offerings while being heavier than business company VR's Gunface and Pulsar Quick Brace. Now let's talk about what makes the haptic version special. Unlike ProTube's system, which requires a developer to add support to their game for it, DeadEye's haptics work with any game. It's similar to Apex Inno's pistols, but in rifle format and with way more customizable options. The haptic controls are actually really cool. You've got red, yellow, and blue buttons to switch between different firing modes. Red is fully automatic. Yellow is burst fire. And blue is single shot. There's also a LED light on the side showing you which mode is currently active, though you won't be able to see it when you're in VR. It's still pretty cool anyway. You can hold each button down while turning the modifier dial to adjust things like fire rate, recoil intensity, or fire delay. Your Quest controller needs to be touching the back of the haptic module. You're essentially squeezing the trigger on the module, which then presses your controller's trigger. It charges via USB-C. After about 2 hours of gameplay, mine still hasn't died yet. The haptics feel great in the stock, though I noticed ProTube's Force Tube has more heft to its haptics. Not worse, just different. I love being able to switch between firing modes on the fly, and the customization options are extensive. Both stocks have some nice features. The carbon fiber tube is extendable and quick to adjust. The half-cup design does make reloading easier, and the stock height is adjustable with helpful numbers marked on it. Each controller sits on a ball swivel mount, letting you position them at any angle. The haptic version has one limitation. You can't shorten it as much due to the haptic system taking up space on the tube itself. I focused my testing on the haptic version since, well, I knew it would be more interesting and fun to try. Zombie Army VR was my first test, and it took some getting used to. The half-cup design was frustrating at first. It was hard to get the controllers positioned right, especially during fast weapon switching. The haptics felt great though, and switching between fire modes worked well for different weapon types. I did run into issues where single fire mode wouldn't switch properly a couple of times. The light would flash angrily until I cycled back to auto and then to single shot. The biggest challenge is that without cups holding your controllers, when you have the sling on and you remove both hands, the stock wants to sort of flip upside down, and then it's hard to reverse it and then get your hands back into the cups again when you're weapon switching or doing other actions. The sling, by the way, is absolutely essential. I honestly have no idea how this would work without it, other than it crashing to the floor. Hard Bullet and Zero Caliber 2 felt much better. Maybe my muscle memory was improving, but I had an easier time finding the front end positioning. Both games worked well with the firing mode options, and having those buttons easily accessible with your rear hand without having to move it is convenient. Shock Troops was interesting since it's more arcade style. The haptics made it feel like a higher-end arcade experience, though I mostly used the front controller for stability rather than trying to fit it in the half cup. So how does this stack up against ProTube's Force Tube? ProTube's magnetic cup system is more secure and easier to reposition in VR in my opinion, but DeadEye's anytime haptics approach means any game works without waiting for developer support. Build quality feels solid on both. Price-wise, the Enforcer haptic at $214.95 with sling is significantly cheaper than the Force Tube at $427, making it a pretty good option for budget-conscious users who still want haptic feedback. After some testing, I think the Enforcer Revolt haptic gunstock is my favorite stock so far. The combination of universal game compatibility, extensive haptic customization, and reasonable pricing makes it hard to beat. The half-cup design does take some getting used to, I'll admit it, but the benefits of instant haptics in any game outweighs that learning curve. If you're on a tighter budget, the Lite version at around $124.95 with the sling is solid, but honestly, save up for the haptic version or get that haptic conversion kit later. The haptics really does transform the experience. The sling should honestly absolutely come standard at that price point, but even factoring that in, this represents excellent value in VR gunstocks. If DeadEye could somehow combine universal haptics with the MagTube's magnetic cup system, that would be perfect. Well, what do you think? Would you rather have universal haptics or better game integrations for more custom haptics to that game? Let me know in the comments, and as always, keep on creating and never lose that drive to improve. See you in the next one. Yep, I'm gonna do it again. I don't have the controllers, but we're gonna do a pew pew pew. It just feels so good. So good.